The Forbidden Descent. This presentation offers spiritual perspectives based on public domain Holy Scripture and quotes, provided for educational purposes. It is not intended as legal or financial advice. Listeners should verify information and consult professionals before acting. The host, writer, and producers are not liable for actions taken based on this content, presented as is without guarantee.
Hello, my name is Jesse James Gabor. Welcome to the Unveilings, a new and exciting series that will explore the mysteries of life that go beyond what we see with our physical eyes. This is a journey into the hidden, the spiritual, and the profound truths that shape our world. So let's begin. In ancient texts, we find a story unlike any other, one that blurs the line between heaven and earth. The Book of Enoch expands upon a cryptic passage in Genesis 6, 1-4, revealing a heavenly rebellion that reshaped humanity forever. This is a story of the Watchers, the Nephilim, and Mount Hermon, a tale of rebellion, forbidden knowledge, and divine justice. In Genesis 6, 1-4, we read about the sons of God, which is often interpreted as angelic beings, whose actions disrupted the balance of creation and led humanity astray. These fallen angels, or watchers, saw that the daughters of men were beautiful and took them as wives. They forged a contract or pact with the fathers of these women, exchanging forbidden knowledge for the right to wed these women. Their union produced the Nephilim, described as giants or mighty men of renown. The Book of Enoch introduces us to the Watchers, angels tasked with watching over humanity. Led by Shemiheza, they descended to Mount Hermon, forming a pact to rebel against God and against their divine purpose. Shemiheza is depicted as the chief of 200 angels known as the Watchers. These angels were tasked with watching over humanity, but rebelled against divine commands. Shemiheza initially hesitated, fearing punishment, but the other angels convinced him to proceed. They swore an oath and cursed themselves, choosing Mount Hermon as their meeting place due to its symbolic significance as a boundary between the divine and the earthly realms. The Watchers introduced humanity to forbidden knowledge, unleashing chaos upon the world. They taught sorcery and witchcraft, corrupting human spirituality, weaponry, forging tools of violence and destruction, astrology and divination, revealing heavenly secrets and occult sciences. This knowledge disrupted the balance of creation, leading humanity astray from divine order. The Nephilim, born of this unholy union, became violent, corrupt, and a source of chaos. Their presence led to widespread sin and depravity, ultimately prompting God's judgment. The flood, as described in the story of Noah, was a direct response to this corruption, wiping out the Nephilim and purging the earth of evil. For their transgressions, Shemiheza and the Watchers were condemned by God. They were bound and cast into the pit, often associated with Tartarus or Sheol, to await judgment as mentioned in Jude 1. The Watchers' rebellion was not just about intermarrying with humans, but their primary goal seems to be the corruption of humanity itself, by introducing fallen angelic DNA into the human race. They sought to create a race of beings who were partly divine and partly human, therefore outside the divine order and corrupted by their angelic nature. This corruption was seen as a direct attempt to derail God's plan of redemption for humanity, which was to come through the seed of the woman, as referenced in Genesis 3:15. While the physical bodies of the Nephilim were destroyed, 1 Enoch 15:8-12 explains that the spirits became disembodied entities, cursed to roam the earth. These malevolent spirits, born of both angelic and human origin, became what we have known as demons. They are described in Mark 5, 1 through 13 as unclean spirits, possessing and tormenting humans, evil beings, opposing mankind, and leading people into sin. Unlike fallen angels, demons are chaotic and earthbound, seeking embodiment and wreaking havoc on humanity. Mount Hermon is not just a physical location, but a boundary between the divine and earthly realms. It symbolizes rebellion and the consequences of stepping outside divine boundaries. Centuries later, this mountain would also serve as the backdrop for Jesus' transfiguration, a moment of supreme declaration. On Mount Hermon, Jesus took Peter, James, and John, and there he was transfigured before them as described in the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew 17, Mark 9, and Luke 9. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white. Moses and Elijah appeared beside him, and a voice from a cloud declared, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." This was more than a moment of divine revelation. It was a declaration that Jesus reigned supreme over all creation, visible and invisible. He was reversing the rebellion of the Watchers and reclaiming the spiritual realms. At the base of Mount Hermon lies Caesarea Philippi, a place steeped in pagan worship, known for its temples to Greek and Roman gods, particularly Pan, the god of nature, fertility, and shepherds. The irony cannot be lost here, as Jesus is considered the great shepherd. This cave was believed by the pagans to be an entrance to the underworld, literally referred to as gates of Hades or the gates of hell. Worship at the site involved sacrifices to the Greek god Pan. The Greeks named the city Panias in his honor. It was considered a spiritual gateway where the divine and the spiritual underworld intersected. Jesus' declaration was likely made with the physical backdrop of the cave at Caesarea Philippi in mind. The cave, with its associations with the underworld and demonic activity such as prostitution, bestiality, and human sacrifice of infants, not only symbolized the dominion of evil, it was the location of it. Here, Jesus declared, "I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it." This statement, made in a place of spiritual darkness, emphasized the triumph of God's kingdom over all false religions and demonic forces. Before Jesus' statement, Peter had confessed, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God," as mentioned in Matthew 16:16. Jesus responded, "You are Peter, or Petros, and on this rock, Petra, I will build my church." Scholars interpret the rock as Peter's confession of faith. Others see the literal rock or cliff at Caesarea Philippi as a metaphor for Jesus building his church, even in the face of demonic opposition. Jesus' statement asserts that no force of evil, not even death or Satan's power, can overcome his church. The descent of the Watchers brought rebellion and chaos, but Jesus' proclamation at Mount Hermon and his transfiguration declared ultimate victory. This story serves as a reminder of divine justice, the dangers of straying from God's order, and the redemption that comes through faith in him. The Watchers fell in defiance, bringing chaos and corruption, but Christ rose in victory, declaring their ultimate defeat. The battle between deception and truth is not just history, it's happening now, shaping the world and testing every soul. Will you stand firm in faith and claim his triumph, or be swept away by the same rebellion that doomed them? Thank you for watching The Unveilings as we walked through this epic journey of ancient texts and spiritual truths. This is the first of many, with many more to come. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to The Unveilings for more explorations of faith, history, and redemption. So until next time, keep questioning the unknown.